dear friends, it's Carrie with Any Day Blessings, and today is another Do a Homeschool lesson with us. Got the kiddos there. There's a reason they have those props with them. I told them before this lesson to go ahead and grab whatever they would run and take, one thing that they would run and take with them if we had to leave our house and never come back. And that was in preparation for our history lesson today in Our Star Spangled Story from Notgrass. There will be a link in the description where you can pick this up. And don't forget, if you download a sample of Notgrass curricula, they will send you a survey, see what you thought about it, and then at the time when I did it, and as far as I know this is still happening, they'll give you a $15 credit to use towards the purchase of this curriculum. So keep your eye out for that survey if you do download a sample, because that is a little secret bonus that you can get. I have been loving this, loving using this with my kids. I showed you in a different video how I use this, but I thought maybe seeing it in person might help. So we're just gonna hop in and do a lesson as we would any other day. You're gonna see it in real time, see exactly how long we spent on the history lesson. One thing I did do in preparation for this was I already reviewed yesterday's lesson and sent them on their way using this little blue box here. I sent them on their way to do an activity for the lesson, which was pick one item that they would grab if we had to leave our house at night very quickly and we weren't coming back. So that's all they've done. They've just run and grabbed one thing, and now we're going to hop into our reading. I hope this helps you. Okay, Abby, can you switch over? All right.
It's embarrassing that I make a video of it.
Oh, it's embarrassing. Don't be embarrassed. We're helping other mommies. Would you want to put the milk on the table? Here. Okay. You can put yours on the table too. Okay. All right. Go ahead and scooch over so you can see the pictures, okay? Liberty Hill on the Underground Railroad. Arnold Braxton clutched the oars tightly in his hands. He rowed hard against the current of the Ohio River. He needed to reach the other side as fast as he could. It was hard work. It was cold. The current was strong. Arnold was trembling, desperately hoping his master would not discover what he was doing. It was a dark night. He couldn't see the girl in the boat with him, but he could feel her eyes looking at him. He knew how desperate she was to escape slavery in Kentucky. In Ohio, on the other side of the river, she would be free. Arnold was a slave himself, but his master was good to him. He had no desire to run away. Arnold and the girl did not dare even whisper to each other. Arnold knew that if his master or any slave master discovered what he was doing, they would tear him up.
What does that mean?
He would get a beating. I know. Arnold felt sure that someone would find out, but he kept rowing toward the other side anyway. Arnold didn't know exactly where he should let the girl off. Suddenly, Arnold spotted a tall light on a high hill that overlooked the Ohio River. He rowed toward it. Someone had told him about that light. It meant help and safety. It meant hope for runaway slaves. When Arnold reached the Ohio shore, two men were waiting. Arnold began to tremble all over again. He felt certain that they were going to capture him. He was sure he was about to die. He prayed to God. To his great relief, he discovered that the men were not there to capture him. They were waiting there to help the girl. They even asked Arnold if he was hungry and offered to get him something to eat. That was Arnold's first experience rowing a slave to freedom, but it was not his last. Over the next 4 years, he rowed as many as 200 or 300 runaway slaves across the Ohio River. Arnold said, "It took me a long time to get over my scared feeling, but I finally did, and I soon found myself going back across the river with 2 or 3 people and sometimes a whole boatload. I got used to making 3 or 4 trips a month." Arnold never received any payment or gifts to thank him for his service. He didn't want any. He only wanted to help others gain their freedom. Arnold led each of the runaways out on the north side of the river, and as he rowed back to the southern side, the runaways quickly climbed 100 wooden steps up Liberty Hill. At the top, they reached the home of John and Jean Rankin. In 1850, the United States government passed the Fugitive Slave Act. This law said that the government would help slave masters recapture their runaway slaves. slave was able to get away, the government was going to help the slave masters get them back. The law said that anyone who helped a runaway slave would be punished. Runaway slaves knew that if they managed to reach the northern state where slavery was illegal, they might get caught and they might get sent back to the South. Because of this, many runaway slaves traveled all the way to Canada where they could truly be free. You see here, how many things does he have in his bag? He just has a small bag. Couldn't carry much. Could only take a few things that he could carry. Here's the Rankin house, the house where the little girl climbed the stairs to get to freedom. It is in Ripley, Ohio, and it was one of the stations or safe houses of the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was not a real railroad. It had no trains or train tracks or depots. Instead, it was a secret network of people. The people helped runaway slaves escape to freedom. For many runaway slaves who crossed the Ohio River, the Rankin House was their first stop on the Underground Railroad. John and Jean and their 13 children worked together to provide runaways with food and shelter. When the runaways were ready to move on to the next house, one of the Rankin sons often led them on horseback. The Rankin family may have helped as many as 2,000 slaves on their way to freedom. See, this is a window from their house. See, there's the river where he would have rode across and then let the runaway slaves up to climb up this hill where the house was. Sometimes the Rankins hid as many as 20 or 30 slaves at one time. According to report, not one of the slaves the Rankins helped was ever caught. One of the slaves who stopped at the Rankin house for shelter was a mother who crossed the partly frozen Ohio River carrying her 2-year-old baby. An author named Harriet Beecher Stowe heard of the story how the woman reached Ohio, and she included that story in her book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Mrs. Stowe wrote this book to show America how evil slavery was. Her writing convinced many Americans that slavery should be stopped. It was expensive and dangerous to help the runaway slaves. The Rankin family was willing to take that risk. They were committed to helping the slaves gain their freedom. They believed it was the right thing to do. These were 2 quotes from John Rankin that describe his feelings about working on the Underground Railroad. Want to hear them? Then we're done. I have been attacked at midnight with fire and weapons of death, and nothing but the good providence of God has preserved my property from flames and myself and my family from violence and death. So it was very dangerous, wasn't it? People were trying to attack him for helping the slaves. Mm-hmm. My house has been the door of freedom to many human beings, but while there was a hazard of life and property, there was much happiness in giving safety to the trembling fugitives. So even though there was danger, what did it say? He was happy to give safety to the runaway slaves. Listen to this verse from John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, that one lay down his life for his friends. Do you think the Rankins were willing to lay down their life, to give their life so that these others could be helped? Sounds like they were.
Mom.
Jesus did that for us.
We can make a craft.
Yeah, this is a craft that we can make. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to finish answering the questions. Okay. Let's look and see where the Rankin family was. Let's look at the map back here. All right. Abby, can you find Ohio? Can you find Ohio? Do you remember where Ohio is? Do you remember where it is? Look for Lake Erie. See Lake Erie? Yeah, there's Lake Erie. Now, where's Ohio? We're right below it. Right below
That's
it.
not Lake Erie. That's like Huron.
No, she's pointing to Lake Erie, and then this is Ohio. So here's Ohio. Now, Andrew, can you find Ripley, Ohio? Remember what it's
Yep,
by.
I see it on the very bottom.
Yeah, because it's right along the river. Because remember, they were rowing across the river to get to Ripley. So there's Ripley, Ohio. But do you want to know a fun fact? We, in our town, have 2 safe houses from the Underground Railroad. The slaves would make it all the way from down south in Ohio, all the way up here to us. And there were stops. There were safe houses here. Mommy's been in them.
Wow.
We'll have to go and you'll have to see. They dug tunnels under their house so that the runaway slaves didn't even have to come up outside. They could just go underneath the ground. So sometimes the Underground Railroad really was underground, but not usually. Usually they ran just at nighttime when no one could see them. Now, I showed you that there was just a little bit a little sack or a little bag of things they could bring. What was something that you would pick if you had to leave our house right away? Andrew, what'd you pick? A gallon of milk? But that's good. Mommy would probably pack food because it would be a long time before we eat again. How about you, Abby? What did you pick? Your craft bag?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? You would.
I can make crafts.
You could make crafts? Well, if you could only have one thing, you can't eat your craft supplies, right?
Yeah.
You probably would want to bring food. That probably is the one thing that most people grabbed, if they grabbed anything before they ran away.
Wait, is that a sack for the 2-year-old baby?
That was, she was wrapping her blanket around her baby. Let's see. What were the ways that people helped the runaway slaves on the Underground Railroad? What's something you would tell somebody about it if you had to tell them how the Underground Railroad helped the slaves?
Me. I have an idea.
You have an idea? How did it help them? How did people help them?
Well, they told them that it was underground, so they could go underground.
Well, sometimes it was underground, but usually it was just done at nighttime. It was done in secret. That's what the underground part of that means. But there were parts that were underground. How about you, Andrew? What were ways that people on the Underground Railroad helped the slaves? What did they do for them?
I really don't know.
Well, did they turn them away from their house?
No,
What did they do?
I forget.
They let them in, have a place to stay? Did they give them anything else?
Oh, see.
They gave them a meal, remember?
And a big poop emoji.
Okay, we're gonna be done, but can you wait 1 second? Can you wait 1 second? Okay, so this is something kind of hard to talk about, isn't it? But I want you to remember the verse at the bottom. Greater love hath no one than this, that they lay their life down for their friends. There aren't many things today, we're very blessed. There aren't many things today that we're asked to die for. That we have to think, oh, our life is in danger. If we talk about Jesus, we might be killed. It doesn't happen to us today in most places. There's some places it does. There's not many places.
Unfortunately, does.
Yeah. There's not many places in our country where we have to be afraid of where we go or what we say or what we do. But some people still feel afraid to do that. You know, and what Mommy wants you to know is I want you to be someone who, when you see people being treated wrongly, I want you to be willing to lay down your life for friends. In the way that I want you to stand up for what is right, even if it means that you won't get what you want, or you might have some hardship, or you might have some trouble. And trust the Lord, and He'll watch over you as you do right, okay? Hopefully we won't come across anything this awful in our lifetime, but we might. And we have to be ready to do what's right and what pleases the Lord, even if it means we could get hurt, okay? All right. Andrew, go put the milk back. Little miss, go put your craft supplies back. I'm going to say goodbye to my friends. Put this back.
Can we watch it?
After we're done. Okay there, guys. Well, that was a history lesson. You see, I don't use the written component for this. There is a workbook that you can purchase to go along with this. I just like talking with my kids about this kind of stuff and hearing their thoughts. I think sometimes they get a little camera shy when we do lessons on video like this, so they never want to answer questions or really talk. But usually we do have a good little back and forth chit chat about things. So, like I said, the link will be down below. Oh. No jumping, please. Have a seat. The link will be down below if you want to pick this up. I do highly recommend that you download the sample Try Notgrass for free, and then keep your eye out for that survey and that coupon to come in the mail, in your email. And let me know if you have used this or if you pick this up after the fact and dive into it. Let me know your thoughts. I will show you a couple other pictures and things on Instagram of some of the hands-on projects that we've done. Since we didn't have one in this lesson, I will take some pictures and put those up on my Instagram so you can see a sample of some of the projects. And with that, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you in the next video. Do you want to say goodbye, kids?
Bye.